In my analysis of modern conflict, unmanned aerial systems, particularly tactical, kamikaze assets have completely rewritten our doctrine for neutralizing enemy ground forces. The current war in Ukraine stands as the ultimate testbed for this transformation. We will dissect recent first-person view drone strikes to analyze how these assets degrade enemy supply lines. Observe the data. A stark tactical example shows a soldier attempting to shield himself from an incoming payload using a mere cargo sled. We must understand that high-explosive drone payloads render such improvised cover entirely useless on the modern battlefield. Inevitably, the defensive effort fails as the operator executes a precision kinetic strike, neutralizing the target. In my observations, we frequently see opposing troops playing dead in a desperate bid to evade detection by overhead aerial assets. Many frontline conscripts lack basic training regarding enemy unmanned aerial capabilities. They deploy bizarre evasion tactics. Yet, as the camera closes the gap, we can actually see the target's eyes tracking their killer. Panic sets in. The soldier attempts a small arms countermeasure, fails, and is instantly eliminated by the payload. Aerial units routinely ambush infantry moving without local security. A dropped ordnance payload heavily wounds one of two patrolling targets. The tactical feed cuts before we can assess the second casualty. Ukraine's 30th Mechanized Brigade recently coordinated a targeted strike on an enemy forward operating base. The initial blast triggers an uncoordinated retreat, with the first strike neutralizing a vital Psylocke electronic warfare defense asset. Subsequent strikes cook off ammunition, destroying defensive bunkers and heavy equipment. Drone operators locate and eliminate two more enemy personnel entrenched in an adjacent bunker. In a separate sector, aerial reconnaissance identifies 3 enemy combatants, including 1 casualty retreating into a fortified basement. Minutes later, a lethal strike asset penetrates the entryway and detonates, collapsing the roof and neutralizing the occupants. Artillery support remains a cornerstone of this defense, successfully interdicting a major enemy supply vehicle. The burning transport is observed rolling driverless down the main supply route. Whether this was a panic escape or catastrophic mechanical failure is unclear. We also see surveillance assets proving decisive in counter-drone operations. In one engagement, a scout asset detects an enemy pilot prepping a launch from a compromised structure. A strike drone immediately penetrates the structure to detonate, neutralizing the entire hostile launch crew. This demonstrates how Ukrainian forces continuously exploit critical gaps in enemy small unit tactics. Consider this attack. An enemy armored personnel carrier loaded with troops attempts an assault only to be struck from above. The tactical result is severe attrition and a completely broken advance. In the Donbass theater, the 54th Mechanized Brigade recorded an enemy recon patrol utilizing soft-skinned civilian transport. Their chaotic retreat upon encountering a main battle tank was fully documented by our aerial observers. In the heavily contested suburbs of northern Donetsk, enemy vehicle-borne improvised explosive attacks have yielded extremely poor tactical results. In one instance, an operator ghosts an explosives-rigged vehicle toward our lines before dismounting. However, our defenses neutralized the threat quickly, likely via minefield or anti-tank guided missile. Over the last 24 hours, we tracked 148 kinetic engagements along the forward line. The highest operational friction occurred near Pokrovsk, Lyman, Toretsk, and the Kursk salient. Our General Staff intelligence indicates that enemy casualty rates are climbing at an unsustainable pace. In a single day, 1,240 casualties were inflicted, along with over 270 hardware assets destroyed. Declassified combat footage from a former United States Marine volunteer in Kursk provides us with invaluable ground-level tactical insight. We see the squad breach a hostile structure, make contact with enemy forces, and neutralize 2 targets with fragmentation grenades and organic small arms. In the Donetsk sector, our Special Operations Forces executed a clearing operation, eliminating hostile personnel and securing critical communication hardware. Exploiting these captured assets paved the way for our subsequent advance and shaped the local battle space. Our tactical units continue to dictate the terms of aerial drone warfare. Within the Demidia sector, Belgorod region fiber optic guided strike drones destroyed an enemy transport and systematically cleared infantry holed up in defensive structures. Elsewhere, a Russian FPV strike targeting our supply lines was neutralized before impact. In this game of logistics, protecting the food and ammo means survival. No casualties in our lifelines remained intact. Near the village of Pryobian in the Donetsk sector, our FPV drone struck a Russian T-80 BVM tank right through the driver's hatch, detonating the internal ammo and completely obliterating the vehicle. Near the village of Torsk in eastern Donetsk, 5 Russian assault units attempted a direct run across open fields. Our units instantly answered with artillery and FPV strikes, neutralizing the attackers and halting their advance. Despite taking catastrophic losses, Russian forces managed to occupy the village of Alexandre in Donetsk Oblast. According to intelligence from the Deep State Military Analysis Group, enemy troops also pushed deeper into our lines around Ozbena, putting them just 6 kilometers from the Dnepropetrovsk border. April 15, 2025. Our regular troops and border guards are executing a highly effective operation near Volchansk. Any Russian armor detected in this sector is immediately targeted and destroyed by FPV drones. These tactical strikes leave their armored vehicles heavily damaged and completely out of the fight. By the close of this critical operation, our forces destroyed 3 MTLB armored vehicles, 1 BMP-3 and 1 SNP flamethrower vehicle. This operation is a textbook example of how we are cementing our tactical superiority in the region. For uncensored footage of these battlefield strikes, join our Telegram channel. Let us analyze the Solin Septi, or TOSS-1A, Russia's heavy thermobaric system. Built directly onto a T-72 tank chassis. It fires thermobaric rockets designed for total devastation, especially inside enclosed bunkers. The name Sepio means scorching sun, referencing the extreme thermal heat and destruction it leaves behind. It operates as an overpressure weapon, devastatingly effective against trenches, urban zones, and reinforced defensive lines. The enemy has deployed this weapon heavily throughout their invasion of Ukraine. Satellite imagery and tactical intel confirm the Sepioak is active in heavy frontline clashes, specifically across eastern Donbas and hotspots like Bakhmut, Kreminna, and Avdivka. The sheer blast of these thermobaric warheads kills indiscriminately, vaporizing defensive positions, civilian buildings, and anyone in deep shelters. Because of this, our command has officially classified the deployment of the Sepio against civilians as a war crime. To counter this threat, we have launched hunter-killer operations, utilizing Bayraktar TB2 drones and HIMARS systems. Our units focus on hunting down and neutralizing these Russian Sol and Sepioak systems deep behind the front lines. Throughout 2022 and 2023, our forces launched high-precision strikes against these deployment zones, aiming to crush enemy morale and relieve intense pressure on our frontline troops. April 14, 2025. You and I will examine the tactical summary of drone operations executed by our elite Marbirds in mid-April. An enemy soldier attempting to hide inside a ruined structure is spotted by an FPV drone. Our operator carefully maneuvers the drone and strikes. The blast leaves the target engulfed in flames. In another sector, we find an enemy soldier hunkered down beneath the beams of a bridge. Analyzing his torn uniform, it is clear he survived a previous strike and sought refuge here. Our surveillance assets undoubtedly tracked his movements, as detecting him under that structure would otherwise be impossible. Our drone operator executes the final run, neutralizing the enemy soldier instantly. Just as an enemy soldier prepares to step out of his shelter, he spots our incoming attack drone. He bolts back inside, desperate to escape the blast, but our pilot navigates the drone through eliminating him. For this mission, our Magwar Bird's pilots target a tactical bridge. The pilot guides the drone right under the span, identifies a critical structural point, and detonates, collapsing the bridge. This span likely served as a primary Russian resupply route, making its destruction a top priority for our command. By constantly mapping these supply lines, our drone teams have become a lethal threat to any enemy transport. Any vehicle moving or parked is systematically destroyed. As we observe, this is the brutal reality of modern drone warfare. In modern warfare, targeting secondary logistics is a highly effective tactical doctrine. Critical transit nodes, fuel tankers, mobile ammunition depots, and rear area supply stations are hit with pinpoint accuracy by lethal drones, completely paralyzing the enemy's ability to retreat or reposition assets. By pairing real-time drone reconnaissance with high-precision artillery strikes, massive supply centers are systematically obliterated. Standard air defense networks have consistently failed to counter this persistent threat. Low-flying kamikaze drones. Small, fast, and highly agile excel at hunting down vulnerable convoys, moving through forest canopies or open roadways. Because logistical transport lacks heavy armor protection, these drone strikes produce catastrophic high-yield results. The violent detonation of fuel and ammo trucks destroys the target and inflicts massive collateral damage on nearby infantry and armor. Forced to adapt to these relentless strikes, the adversary now relies on nocturnal transit, dense forest pathways, and advanced camouflage. Yet, these defensive friction points choke the logistical flow, weaken frontline defense, and trigger severe psychological exhaustion. Supply crews operating under constant aerial surveillance suffer rapid morale decay, forcing shorter shifts and driving human resource depletion to its limit. Since the opening phases of this campaign, commanders have deployed drones not just as eyes in the sky, but as primary offensive strike assets. High-altitude, long-range platforms like the Bayraktar TB2 initially devastated heavy armored columns with surgical precision. But as battlefield dynamics shifted, cheap, mass-produced FPV, kamikaze drones became the decisive weapon on the front lines. These agile micro-munitions systematically hunt down main battle tanks, BMPs, BTRs, and vulnerable supply trucks. In my tactical assessment, several critical factors drive this lethality. First, most enemy armor lacks active defense suites. While advanced assets like the T-90M feature these systems, their operational coverage remains highly restricted, rendering them useless against high-speed, low-altitude FPV strike profiles. Drone pilots exploit critical structural vulnerabilities, steering payloads directly into rear engine grates, ammo carousels, or exposed crew hatches. Furthermore, the integration of real-time battlefield intelligence and network-centric warfare allows commanders to coordinate these drone assets with high efficiency. These eyes in the sky do more than scout, they act as forward observers, adjusting heavy artillery fire. For instance, when hostile armored columns move into assembly areas or set up temporary defensive lines, an overhead scout instantly relays precise GPS coordinates directly to waiting artillery batteries. Predictably, the adversary has scrambled to field defensive countermeasures. Improvised cage armor, mockingly called coping cages, is welded onto turrets to pre-detonate incoming FPV warheads. But this passive armor fails. Agile drone operators simply adjust their vector to strike unprotected fatal gaps. On April 16, 2026, a strike package was launched to interdict critical infrastructure deep inside the Kursk region. During this sortie, a Ukrainian Su-27 fighter engaged a vital bridge, deploying a high-precision GBU-62 guided bomb. The payload achieved direct impact, completely collapsing the span in a devastating detonation. This structural failure severed key ground lines of communication, heavily restricting tactical maneuvering and logistical reinforcement. This operation represents a critical, asymmetrical blow, neutralizing a vital piece of infrastructure while severely choking the enemy's rear area logistical lines. We are witnessing a significant shift as deep, high-precision air interdiction strikes penetrate sovereign territory. During the Kursk operation, a Ukrainian Su-27 fighter executed a precise low-level run to drop a smart bomb directly onto a vital transit span. Though reported in intelligence circles as AGBU-62, a non-standard entry in Western arsenals, the ordnance delivered surgical accuracy guided directly onto the center mass of the target. The span collapsed entirely upon detonation, dealing a severe blow to the enemy's logistical network. These interdiction efforts seek to paralyze combat maneuvers and systematically degrade the adversary's total logistics capability. Yet hardware alone does not win wars. The strategic foundation rests on the sheer national will of their forces. Despite absorbing heavy attrition, their command structure and population refuse to yield to hostile aggression. Since early 2025, we have watched Ukraine accelerate its deep strike operations in Kursk with relentless tactical momentum. In modern warfare, striking deep into the enemy's interior is designed to break both their spine and their will. Kursk is the center of gravity here, a border hub holding the keys to Russian logistical networks. By executing pinpoint kinetic strikes, Ukrainian planners are systematically cutting the arteries of Russian rear support. Lately, we have seen first-person view drones dominate the tactical micro-airspace. Ukrainian operators are utilizing these loitering munitions to relentlessly hunt down command posts and ammo depots across Kursk. The resulting attrition on Russian armor, mobile radar, and high-value air defense systems is staggering. This showcases a clear shift toward decentralized high-tech asymmetry on the modern battlefield. Throughout the months of March and April, tactical aviation units executed heavy interdiction against bridges, fuel depots, and forward bases. By employing precision-guided munitions, they effectively choked off the enemy's ability to reinforce or resupply. This operational pressure has forced Moscow to openly confront the collapse of their border security. While political leadership demands total control be restored, military reality on the ground tells a different story. Real-time intelligence confirms that Ukrainian kinetic momentum persists, leaving Russian frontline units struggling to hold.